collages of different kinds of
I'm a
music.
composer.
It's like, you know,
I'm a composer of electronic music, and I compose political music, and I'm still living. The question is, how?
Thanks everyone for watching, and first of all, thanks Rana for doing an amazing film and for agreeing to this Q&A. So I would like to
thank you, Anna.
Thank you. So before we start talking about Panoptic, I would like to talk about the situation. Like your film was released in 2017, and it's quite a dark picture of Lebanon that you're painting. But since then, the situation has gotten so much worse on every level. There's an ongoing political crisis. The economy is in tatters. I mean, the middle class has eroded. Loads of people got to be really poor. People are struggling with getting food. Then, of course, last August, there was this huge blast that destroyed a large part of Beirut, which was like unimaginable. And on top of everything, we have Corona. So as I understand, there's quite a severe lockdown in Lebanon right now. So I would like to start by asking you if you could tell us a little bit what the situation is like for you. What is your daily life looking like? How are people coping?
To be honest, I'm gonna start with the general situation and just make a link with Panoptic. For me now, I understood and I start talking about it in Panoptic. The crisis and the civil war and the war in general of Beirut didn't end in the 1990s. See, it's still the struggle and the political conflict, the sociological conflict and the conflict of the Middle East didn't stop in Beirut. It has another form in 1990. It has another form of, hypocrisy and capitalistic way of directing the country, because they, and I'm not talking really about a political party, but you know that the reconstruction of Beirut was really the reconstruction above a total amnesia, which was the general amnesty. You cannot build a country or ending a fight or a conflict with a general amnesty. It's not possible. So we were hiding our problems underground. It's like you're putting the dirt elsewhere. So it had to explode in a way after several years, because it was based on a lie, on hypocrisy, on a fake democracy and a fake country. Today, we had a very bad news, for example, and I'm going to tell you a very shocking analysis of my own. It's very personal analysis about the Beirut blast, that we didn't understood eventually anything about the blast, anything. For me, the blast was not big enough for the Lebanese people to understand the gravity of the situation, because the corruption is still there. People are still following the political parties. And now we have another problem for me, and it's only my personal really opinion. It's the problem of the NGO, the problem of the neoliberals that are trying to talk about politics. So, those NGOs who are, directing the so-called manifestation or riots, that's why they stopped, because they're part of the system.
I think you will have to explain that a little bit.
Yeah, because on October last year, they had like manifestation and riots and the uprising of people. It wasn't an uprising. It was another political party, but in another form. It's the political party directed by the NGOs. I'm not saying that all the NGOs are a disaster. Of course, there are good NGOs.
Are you talking about Lebanese NGOs or international NGOs?
You know that it's very connected. It's all connected to one system. I'm not going to it's a very long subject, but NGOs are in a way, and especially, you know, like USAID, it's not a apolitic NGO, it has political agendas, you know, so they're helping you for a reason to follow. So for me, nothing has changed since I was born. Nothing has changed, and I was telling this a little bit in Panoptic that it's gonna explode. And after the Beirut blast, I thought maybe people will be like feel guilty or feel awakened by this, but nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
So in a way, you're saying the blast was terrible and devastating, but it wasn't big enough to really make people understand that the whole system needs to go.
And, for example, today, you know, they did like an economical chart. The government created an economical chart, and they're asking people from the Arab world to buy properties in Beirut to have fresh money. They're selling Beirut. Today, we are selling Beirut. So Beirut will not exist in few years, maybe. We don't know. There's a change in the whole Middle East. You know, the Arab world is changing with the start of the so-called Arab Spring. It's very difficult, but what I understood, to cut a very long story short, that what is important for me now is really to be there as individual, is our personal identity. I was really thinking about moving out from Beirut, but now I will not leave. Not because I have, you know, this patriotic feeling. It's not about that. I am here. I have something to say. It's not resilience, but to stay as an individual, and to remain your own identity as a person. Maybe at the end we will have solution if you have like microcosm doing something, because the macrocosm does not work anymore.
So you are in a microcosm. You definitely have something to say. You say lots of things with Panoptic, but are you heard? Are you heard only in different microcosms, or would you like to be heard? Like your film, for instance, is banned in Lebanon, Panoptic.
Yeah, but it's been like, it participated in more than 50 festivals now, and it's on Netflix. So it's worldwide. So okay, they banned it, but even the people of Lebanon now can see it. So on the contrary, banning a film is, they did a publicity for the film. So for the producers, they were very happy. But at the end, banning a film does not mean anything anymore, because first of all, online platforms was really before Corona being there. And now with Corona, okay, there's no screening rooms, there's no theaters anymore, there's no cinema. What are you going to ban? You cannot ban social media, you cannot ban online platform, and definitely you cannot stop Netflix. So I guess it's, if you know, it's like I always said, it's when you want to do something, and especially in our domain, it's elastic. You have to have a very long breath. You cannot find. And I'm not doing, you know, it's not militant. I'm doing this for myself, because I'm asking questions, and I really need to ask these questions. If someone hears me, you know, art didn't change history a lot, unfortunately, but we're trying.
So when you're saying that people didn't wake up yet, what is the reason? What do you think, that people have completely lost hope because the political elites or the clans, the families, the parties that have ruled Lebanon for so long, they're not giving away any of the powers? Do you think the system is unbreakable?
And it has many layers, you know, it has many layers. First, people are very tired and they're becoming numb and they're fed up, you know. Now I'm 45 and I lived like several Israeli invasions, a civil war, and now a pandemic. We're fed up. We want to, you know. So people are very tired, but because they didn't, we didn't have, you know, a proper identity of our own. We're not individuals living in Lebanon. I'm talking now only in Lebanon, but it's the problem of the Arab world, because we do not exist as individual, as a person. The limits of our bodies are very, you know, shady. We only exist as communities, and unfortunately, in this part of the world, it's religious sectarian communities. So the conflict will remain until they will, and even the political conflict, and it's a socio-geographical conflict. They have, you know, like an umbrella of sectarian crisis. You know, even the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, they have to put it into a religion context, so they can do their deals and do their, you know, their political agreements. So it's a part of the world that will take time to have really independence, you know, independence in the real term, independence, freedom from the inside, not, you know, civic freedom or the freedom to do whatever you want. We have freedom. We don't have like, it's not, you know, a totalitarian system, but we are auto-censoring ourselves.
Yeah.
That's and we're living in constant fear, because if this political guy is not very happy, he can dismiss you, or he can make your life miserable. So yeah.
But how do you cope with this constant fear and threat over your head?
You know, it's our group of friends, you know, we do like a lot of work on ourselves. I think our domain, for me, sound and helped me a lot, you know, because I have something, it's not a career, it's a path, you know, it's a passion. So I have this, they cannot take it from me. So I have something, I have a tool that I can manipulate within my only microcosm, and it's been good until now.
Let's start talking, focusing a bit more about on Panoptic. It is a letter to your late father, and just a very broad and simple question. What was your idea behind the film? Like, what was your intention with this film? You talked a bit about it, but can you maybe put it?
It first started really when I discovered that the detention center was underground. I didn't know that under the bridge there were a detention center. I always, I was thought that it was a parking lot. So when I discovered that it's a detention center, you know, ideas came into my head that we have a very strange relationship with the underground in this country, and especially the state and the government and the military system, because the military system is very present in Beirut, even if it's not a direct totalitarian regime, but you have like several police divisions or military divisions for each sect or each political party. After the end of the word, you know, after the end of the war, it's a Freudian slip now.
Anna, please.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Anna. So the whole, when they did the general amnesty, all the political party has like a military group. The army is following someone, the police is following someone, and we have like many divisions for police and army and military system. We don't know why. So everyone has, you know, official militia now. So I really decided to look for the military buildings in Beirut and what's underground Beirut.
So, but how did you discover about the detention center?
Because there was an Ethiopian woman that I knew, and she was detained in this detention center. They said that the prison is there. So I said, no, this is a parking lot. This is not a detention center. So I discovered that it's, and I saw the faces and I saw the people in there. And so the first idea was to think, what is underground Beirut? What's happening underground Beirut? What can we find underground Beirut? And it was always this idea of that in Europe you have, you know, the metro and you know, you have a life underground that is moving, that is, you know, very moving and very based on movements, but we have like stagnation what we have in Beirut is like stagnation, and the movement is above the ground. So this, paradox between above ground, that is everything is very going well, between parentheses, and our demons are underground. And when I was searching for these military buildings, I discovered that I was searching for my father, for the military person he was, to understand why he went to this military system, because he was I didn't understood this paradox in him, and we never really talked bluntly. He didn't want to answer, because at the end I understood that he was extremely unhappy about.
So did the film give you some answers on the question of your father's military career?
No, I understand. I like making peace with the fact that he's not there anymore, and trying to no. It was, to be honest. Now I feel that it's more about me, not about him, about my relationship with him. So sometimes you just need to ask the questions. You don't need answers. You just need to shout it loud. Loud. So yeah.
It's a very personal thing, your film. I mean, you do talk about your illness, you talk about your father's death, you talk a lot about childhood memories and the Civil War. So I was wondering if doing this film was rather therapeutic for you or re-traumatizing?
Of course, it was therapeutic, because I needed to, especially the illness I had, especially the otosclerosis in my ear, and especially that I work in sound. It was really like wake-up call that you have to find answers about yourself, and why this illness, why did you take this illness? Why did you inherit this illness? So it was like really, I had all these questions about myself, about my father, about the city, about the relationship between my illnesses and the city, the underground Beirut, the civil war, my relationship to sound. So I really wanted to see this film. So I did it,
So the name of the film is Panoptic, He Who Sees Everything. How did you come up with this name?
Because when I started writing the script for the documentary and start gathering ideas, I really the whole research was based on Michel Foucault, Discipline and Punishment, and he was talking a lot about the panopticon and or the panopticon idea, and it really, I made the link with Burj al-Mur and the huge panopticon of Beirut city. And when I go further my research, I discovered that Argus Panopt was the mythological character and with 100 eyes. So I said, definitely, it's Panoptic and Burj al-Mur and the surveillance camera and the military system. So we're living, it's the triumph of Panoptic.
Burj al-Mur, you mentioned, that's the big high-rise building in the middle of the city that stands empty. With Burj al-Mur and the detention center and all the other places, how did you get access? How was it possible for you to film there?
It was very difficult, and I took like the permits. I filmed Panoptic within 3 years, but actually I filmed 30 days. With 30 days within 3 years, because I had to wait a lot to have the permits. So, for example, the detention center, I waited a year and a half. Burj al-Mur, like 6 months. But I wasn't very honest with the general security. I said, I'm the daughter of the military officer. I love you guys, so I need to film that. I took advantage of the status of my father, and then that's why they banned the film, I think, because they knew that I wasn't very honest about it. But yeah, it took me a while, and it was very difficult to concentrate, because you sometimes film only 2 days, and then after a year you have to film again. So you really have to be focused, and sometimes they call you, you have to come tomorrow to Borivage to film, you have 4 hours. So to gather the crew, but I was really lucky, because mainly I continued with the same DOP, and sometimes in the detention center we went like 7 cameras and the marathon. So I was really lucky, and I have very nice friends and crew members that helped me a lot.
That's great. So let me briefly turn to the audience and ask if there is anyone watching this Q&A who would like to ask a question to Rana. If not, we'll continue, but please feel free. Raise your hands.
I think they're depressed.
Maybe,
Yeah, I
but
guess.
we can still laugh. We can be depressed and pessimistic, but we can still have a good laugh from time to time, hopefully. Yeah. Okay, no questions for the moment. So yeah, let's get back. Yeah, you talk about the detention center now. I found that really fascinating, you know, to see this side of Lebanon in your film, the situation of migrant workers and illegal immigrants. I mean, of course, Lebanon is hosting almost 2 million refugees, mainly Palestinian and Syrian, but there are also hundreds of thousands of migrant workers, most of them, or many of them, coming legally and others illegally. So you said that when you discovered the detention center, it was like the first idea emerged to do this film. So do you see a link between the way these foreigners are treated with the overall picture of the political state of Lebanon and the lack of accounting for war and everything?
Of course, because like I said, and like I show it in Panoptic, even the church, the Ethiopian church, is underground. So they are part of the society, you know. So it's not, it is sometimes some people and the government treat them in a very racist way and very unhuman way, of course. But we are all treated the same. The Lebanese citizen, the foreign citizen, the refugees, everybody is treated the same in an unethical, unhuman way. So we are, the first, when you decide to live in this country, you are part of the citizen and you are part of the problems, because there is no law, no justice, you know. When there's no justice and no law, no real law, automatically everything will fall apart. The
judiciary,
yeah, the prisons, everything. And like a lot of philosophers said, you know, you want to know anything about a country, go see the prisons. So of course they're gonna treat foreign workers badly. They do not know how to treat their citizen. You know, now with the economical crisis, people, you know, you saw that over 60% of the Lebanese people are now extremely poor. In Tripoli, I think you know Tripoli and the situation of Tripoli. They are extremely poor people. They are obliged to be in confinement whilst they don't have anything to eat. So it's not about racism, it's about justice. We don't have justice in this country. That's it. The warlords are still in the government, you know. We have the head of the parliament. He's a criminal, and he's still governing us. I really, you cannot imagine how badly the situation is. There are criminals who are governing us.
So it's a lack of justice, but also a complete disregard of human beings in general.
Of course. It's just because they are, you know, gangsters. They are mafias. They want more money. They want more power. At the end, they will die, hopefully soon.
And when they die, their sons or their grandsons take over?
Maybe. But, you know, these days, in these times, you feel that maybe if the idea of God was true, you can have hope. You start believing in God, but yeah.
We're talking again a bit about the situation of how people are living. There were quite big demonstrations in Tripoli, or clashes in Tripoli the last few days. And it's a really simple question, but I'm really asking myself, how do people survive? I mean, they go hungry. Is there any kind of help? I mean, obviously the government is not doing anything.
No, they're not doing anything, but you know, they pay people to go on the streets. If my son is hungry, or I'm hungry, but especially if my son is hungry, for 50,000 lira, which is the equivalent now of maybe $4, $3, I will go on the streets and be extremely radical and be extremely sectarian, because this is the way we, you know, because the corruption is not only in the government, it became in the people too, because you have to be corrupted and try, you know, illegal ways to work so you can feed your family. So all the people are working, you know, in a clandestine way. They are like closing their shops, you know, from the outside, but they are working.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's an unhealthy way of dealing with Corona too, but they have no choice. They have no choice because we have no planning of what's going on. And today they told us that the first 3 vaccines that will arrive to Lebanon will be to the president, to the prime minister, and the head of parliament. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so happy for them.
Well, at least your president is very, very old, so he's in the
so
high risk group.
Yeah. God is with us, I hope. If they see this interview, I'm gonna get killed.
They will not, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we're talking about you know, the government and the civil war, one aspect in your film is, like, as you said, your father was a general in the army, and you show this big demonstration on Army Day, and people shout in solidarity with the army. And I was wondering if you could explain to us a little bit. I mean, people outside of Lebanon, we have these memories from newspaper articles about the civil war. We just remember everybody fought everyone, the communists against Shiite and Druze militias, Christian fascists. What role did the army play in the civil war? Hard to say. Did they play a role?
Yeah, of course. They were part of the militias because the army was divided between Muslim and Christian, and almost 90% of the officers, the Lebanese officers, are thieves, corrupted, and killers, criminals. Yeah, that's all that I'm gonna say.
Okay.
And the other was looking at the event and staying, you know, and they were shutting up because they were afraid. And the officer that talked about things, they were threatened to be killed or killed. So the military system is extremely corrupted too. The same as the government. It is a militia protecting the system and the government. So this taboo about we cannot criticize the Lebanese army is bullshit. Because the Lebanese army is the head of corruption, the head of total unawareness of what is happening to their citizens, you know? They are corrupted. I know several officials that are extremely wealthy now, extremely wealthy. And I know the salaries. I know from my father, I know. So that's why my father decided to quit, because he didn't want us to be killed. So he quit the army and he decided not to be part of this system anymore. No, because he didn't steal any money.
You just said that people don't speak up or are afraid to speak up. Is it because everything is so interwoven, like you are, whoever you are part of one religious community or one militia or one sect or the army or this, that it's all so closely knit together that everybody almost has to be a part of this corrupt system to survive?
Yeah, but with the army, it's different. You know, it's related to taboo. You know, it's very related to the big totem that you cannot approach the totem. You know, it's taboo. You cannot. It's like God. You know, you cannot criticize the Lebanese army. if you criticize the Lebanese army, you are really bad to your country and you're a bad citizen. You know, it's taboo. It's related to the taboo because we need, you know, a god. We need like the biggest power. It's very related to the totem, you know, to the flag. We have like almost in every street a big flag. This is, you know, you have flags all over Beirut. So it's like, you know, it's you cannot criticize because the Lebanese army is the protection. So it's God, you know, it's the God that is surveying you, and they are oppressing you in a way. So it's not even part of, we have the sectarian problems, but the situation with the Lebanese army is like taboo. You cannot criticize. It's as if you're criticizing God or the Prophet Muhammad or Jesus Christ or the others.
Yeah. I am going to suggest that we switch a bit more to the film and your role as because we will never finish discussing pressing politics. So I would like to ask you, Rana, you're a sound designer by profession, and Panoptic is the first film that you have directed. And I'm interested to ask you, you know, there's so many different layers in your film, layers of sound, footage, images. You play a lot with lighting and music. So it's very complex and very beautifully done. In your way, now that you were a director for the first time, what would you say, what was that process like for you?
It was difficult at the beginning, but because the first idea of doing it, of the documentary, was an audio documentary. I wanted to do an audio documentary about the detention center. And then with a group, with my DOP and the music composer and some friends.
Can I ask you what, DOP, director of productions, or what is a DOP?
DOP is director of photography.
Photography, yeah, okay, sorry. Sorry.
So we said, why not doing a documentary about it? And because the story has many layers, so let's do a documentary. And what helped me, because I have another profession, and it's not a profession, it's my passion, sound design. So I didn't take myself very seriously as a director, you know, that I'm having fun. Worst case scenario, the film is shit. Okay, I'm not a director. I don't give I don't care. I'm a sound designer, you know. And then I took it more seriously because it was a journey for me, and I wanted, you know, there was this problem of permits. So I said there was a lot of challenges with the army and the police state, you know. So I wanted to do it. And what helped me a lot with understanding the way I want to film and the location is when I went to the location, it was always through sound, because we talked a lot with the director of photography, and he's a friend, so he knows a lot what I want in this film and the point of view and etc. But when we went to any location, it was always through sound. I used to record the sounds with my other sound engineers, and so I always understood the space through sounds and what I want from the space. So I used to talk to Tala, the director of photography, and said, okay, this is what I want. You do your technical stuff. I don't know where you want to put your camera. I don't know anything about camera. You do whatever you need, you know. Especially, for example, the Army Day, I really didn't want them to have a real voice. So I recorded the sound with my iPhone only. So it was I recorded technically in a bad technical way, you know, because I wanted the sound to be distorted. So it was always sound who guided me throughout the whole process. And in the post-production, I did to do the rhythm of the film. I did the sound composition before the image editing.
Okay.
So the image followed the sound.
In the end, was it something that you liked doing, like the sound and the image coming together and it being, you know, your own creation? Is it something that you feel like you want to do again?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm preparing, but I'm taking my time. I'm preparing something because now I have a lot of work, so I'm preparing something. Yeah, I would love to do it, but as I told you, I'm not a director. I don't want to be a director. I'm just doing it because I have things to say and I'm gonna have fun with it. If when I'm not having fun in the process, I will stop.
Whether you want it or not, I think you're a director now. So maybe you're a sound designer first and a director second.
Yeah.
In the film, you say, I sought shelter in sound. When you were a child in the shelters during the war, you recorded people's voices. So very broad question again, what does sound mean to you?
It's my life. It's the reason why I wake up in the morning.
Do you wake up? Do you wake up with sounds?
Listen, for many years I woke up with tinnitus, so I was with sound all day, all night. You know, but no, when I'm sad, you know, when I go to the studio and I start working, I don't know really how to explain it, because it's the way I built myself, you know. It's not sound built my personality, built my relationship with the people, with the spaces, with the country, with my sicknesses, with my body, with everything. So it was really my guide, you know. And it's like I adore this sentence by Hegel, you know, the philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
He said that nothing big has happened without passion. And I really believe in it, because it's not even passion, the relationship. It's me, it's part of me, it's part of myself. And even the operation I did in my ear was the biggest blessing I had, because during the operation, I heard the frequencies and the sound of the inner ear, and I will never hear it again.
Wow.
So it was a blessing, because I know now the sound of the inner ear.
Can you describe it?
It's electronic, with electronic devices. It's completely electronics. I thought that the doctor was sending me frequencies. I said, what's those frequencies are you sending me? And he said, no, it's the sound of your inner ear. So everything comes for a reason when you really love something. So it was really, the operation was the biggest blessing in my life, because I heard something, I will never hear it again. I don't want to hear it again, but I was happy to hear it once.
Is there any sound you don't like?
Yeah. A very cheesy sound, the sound of the keys. I can't.
Of the keys?
Yeah, I can kill someone if I hear the keys.
Like les clés, okay.
Oui.
When they open a door?
Everything, every kind of sound of a key, I can kill someone.
Okay, let's make sure we never cross you with keys in our hand. So I found also the way you play with music very beautifully done. I mean, in the beginning, it's very light. It's almost like you hear a little, you know, it's very subtle. And in the Burj Al Mur, I don't know if it's in the staircase or something. To me, the music there, to me, it sounded like a Christian choral in a cathedral. It was like, so I was wondering if you can say something about how you work together with Nadim Mishlawi, who made the music, how you came up with these ideas, and if the process of composition, if you were involved, or how that worked.
Yeah, Nadim followed the project since the beginning, since we're partners and we work together. So so he really knew what I wanted. At the beginning, we both decided that we don't want music in the film. I wanted to do only sound composition, but I felt after I see the first rough cut that there's something missing with the voiceover. So it's really the music. I wanted the music to be linked in a way in the narration with the voiceover, you know. So the music wanted, it's me. I wanted the music to talk about the emotional part in me, and the direction we talked about with Nadim was to work with music as we work with sounds, you know, and he did a lot of instruments, prepared instruments, and he composed the music after he heard the sound design. And in Burj Al Mur, it was every time I was working on the Burj Al Mur part, I was always crying, and my editor said, "Why are you crying in this part?" I said, "This is the place where I feel that I lost my father. I have no idea why, but I said, this is the place where I always remember my father and the sadness of my father." So Nadim proposed that we do something with a voice, and he said, we have to do a voice like a very melancholic voice in this part. So he proposed to do that, and I liked it, and really, because there's not a lot of music, and we really chose very carefully where to put music and how we want to put it, so it was always linked to me and to my emotions.
You tell the film through episodes. Is there, you talk about the Burj Al Murnau, is there any one episode that is dearest to your heart?
The last one.
The last
when
one.
I go up and I talk about him in the third person.
Exactly, that's the only time, and it's also the only time that we see you in the film.
Yeah. This is especially my relationship with the Panoptic and with this bridge, the underground. I reveal myself. I decided to go up, to rise from the underground. Rise, it's a big word, you know, but and to let him go. This is the part when I let him go. Mm-hmm. I don't want, and I'm not talking to him anymore. And this very beautiful sentence that he wrote me, that life will make you choose between truth and if I can't remember the name in English now. Safety, yes.
Sorry?
Truth and safety.
Security, yeah.
You know, security, yo.
Security,
yeah. So yeah, this is a very, because when I was writing the voiceover, it was really a coincidence, because I found many letters that he wrote to me, because I wasn't very much at home, so he used to communicate with me through letters. So I was not knowing how to end the voiceover, and I used to end it in a very melodramatic, cheesy, teenage way, you know. So I saw the letters, I said, this is how it has to end. Mm-hmm. This sentence that you have to choose.
So did you write the letter while you were making the film, or did you have the text?
During the editing?
During the editing, yeah.
Because I was in complete denial before my editor came and told me that you are talking with your father, write it down. No, it's an essay, it's a very objective film. She said, please write, she said, write now, write a letter to your father, because don't hide it, don't hide.
So she was aware of what was going on before you were.
Yeah, that's why I put in the credits that we wrote it together, because really we wrote it together. We wrote really the right intentions during the editing. Yeah.
Anyone who hasn't seen the film yet, please watch it. It's not on Netflix Switzerland, so you can still stream it today.
Know that.
I checked today, it's not on Netflix Switzerland, but maybe it will be soon. But you can watch it today and tomorrow, and then in February. Let me check with the audience if some questions have arisen, if somebody would like to talk to Rana and ask something.
I told you they're depressed.
They're depressed and maybe shy.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's no problem. Okay, so let me maybe finish by asking you what you're working on right now.
I'm working on really several projects. I'm like finishing. I'm working on a series, but for Netflix, but I cannot say more. You know, and now we have like several films. I just finished a lot of, you know, two very nice films from Jordan, and And now I'm waiting for another Lebanese film, and I'm preparing for a very nice podcast. You know.
Oh, yeah, I think I have heard a rumor about
the
Norient is doing. Okay, let's talk no more about it.
Yeah.
Okay, Rana, I think we start wrapping up. Thank you so much. Thank you for talking to us.
Yeah.
Hope I didn't upset you too much.
No,
that's not
fine.
No, you don't need me to upset you. Thank you very much. It was great to see you,
Anna, for everything.
And, hopefully see you again soon somewhere, maybe in Beirut.
Yeah, please.
And
please.
Good luck with everything, and talk soon.
You.
Hopefully.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rana.